Huh.
Hmm.
So the what I was thinking was like, I fully agree, right? We should be like totally unscripted and live and whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I think the intro can be funny and scripted.
Okay.
Like it has to be like stupid shit, right? Like how, like I want to talk about the reality of work from home, right? Like you switch off the mic, you take a sip of coffee, and you fart, like stuff like that,
Yeah,
right?
but like,
Like
see what the kind of intro you're talking about is already like, a bunch of outtakes put together, right? Like you can't script that shit. You gotta do like, say, 3 months of podcasting and then like take all the outtakes and put it together as an intro.
whatever. But I'm saying these are the things which people can relate to, right? Like, how like the person running the meeting is always like this enthu cutlet, and then he's always asking people like anything else, like, and then there's this awkward silence, right? And then everybody like gets off the call and they're like, "Fuck," you know
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah, it's all outtakes, man. You can't script that shit for sure. Like you can try, but it's gonna be like really horrible if you try that.
No, I'm just saying like these are the ideas I have,
Uh,
and I think it'll be fun. But yeah, I think the uh, the thing that we are doing is fine. Like the live without any kind of uh,
yeah, I think it's So from what I know of this whole podcasting scenes, right? Like it's once you start getting an audience, right? It becomes like super easy to do all these things and like to get people on board easily and all of that. The first 2 3 months is literally what are we going to do to generate that value for everybody else, right?
I'm not bothered about who's watching, right?
Nah,
Like
me
if people
either.
watch on,
Yeah,
yeah.
me either. But like at the end of the day, it this is on some level some form of TV, and like if you're gonna measure our success on this, it's I also like this is supposed to be a marketing, man. If you don't create, if this isn't the widest funnel that you create, widest end of the funnel, now what's the point of doing any of this? What's the point of any of this
No, no,
effort?
no. I'm saying I don't care about who is watching. I care people watch.
Yeah.
I don't care who's watching. I don't care about the audience yet.
Yeah, sure, but like what I'm trying to say is in the start to keep this interesting for ourselves as well. So, like, here's my take, right? Like, the first few months, we actually plan and schedule who's going to be on the podcast. Okay, so that, is that whole like events-driven marketing idea, right? Like, you set a date saying that, oh, okay, on the 12th of January, 12th of June, we have this person who's a CEO who's joining us on this podcast to do the. Might not be like the most popular person in the world. We don't want that, right? Like, we just want to
Right,
talk
right,
to the
right.
people that we want to talk to. I'm
Exactly.
saying,
Yeah, yeah.
huh?
Exactly. Like I don't like it should be like we want to talk to the CA and then we just put him on the call with us.
Yeah, but I'm saying like let's preempt it. Let's say that we want to talk to the CA on this day and join us on this show.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Three
Yeah,
people
yeah,
join, five people join, nobody joins, doesn't matter. We keep doing the podcast. But I'm saying it's the habit of the process that I'm trying to put in place. That we make an announcement that this person is coming, so that we have a commitment from that guy. We have our own
Can we
commitment
do
set
it? Can
out.
we do it? Can we do it this way? It's as though we don't know that someone's watching. Like it's not like we're saying that hey, there's someone coming on the show. We can literally be like hey, like tag that person and say hey, can you come talk to us? You know what I mean?
Mm, consent and all that stuff. You want to tell people that they're going to be on a live stream before you put them on a live stream.
Of course. I mean, off of this thing, obviously yes. But I'm
Yeah.
saying it shouldn't feel to the audience like they're actually uh, seeing us. In a sense, like we're not performing for them, right? Like we're just doing our own thing, and they have like this. See, I'll tell you why, right? My thought process about this is people want to feel involved, right? Like they want to be a part of the experience. If it feels performative, like it won't feel like they're hanging with us.
No, we're not. See, we're not going to script or like be performative about what happens on the
I
show.
know,
I'm
I know.
saying
I'm talking about the content.
Yeah. I'm saying content-wise will be good. Like I don't have any worries. We did that 2 hours the day before. I know we're good to like.
No, in the sense, like you are saying, right? We're going to have this person on the show. I'm saying it should not, even our communication should not be that this is a show. It's just that we left cameras on and people are watching us.
Nah, I think in the initial few months at least we need to have some sort of like, so the idea comes from building some hype around this thing, right? Like I mean it's a motivator for me also that like this person's going to be on the show, we're going to be talking about this stuff. It's I don't care if we get on a call with the CA and not talk about CA stuff at all. If that CA just takes us through how stupid entrepreneurs are for an hour, fantastic. I don't care what happens on the show, right? I want info to come through it. You want info to come through it. And this is just a broadcast of the conversation that we are having in general, right? Like it's not got anything to do with the audience. But I am saying a certain amount of planning and letting people know that this is happening is going to be a motivation for everybody involved on the podcast.
Of course.
Right?
Of course, I agree with you that
which is why I'm also kind of like pushing for it to be live streamed so that the chances of it being like, oh, I messed up over there, can we take again, never comes up, right? Like
exactly. I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't want that either. And also like this is me being a lazy editor. I do not want to watch this 2 hour conversation of us and edit it down to like 40 minutes. It's
definitely.
I mean, either we hire people for it or I'm not doing it. That's as much as it is. Because
I'm saying we have an ironclad contract which says that it will never ever be edited.
No, we have to make edits, right? Like, I mean, if you want to, like, once the episode is done and it's out on YouTube, we finished live streaming, you do want to, like, take excerpts from this and put it up around, like, say, like a CA gave some, like, really valuable advice about something in like, a 40-second thing in the whole call. You want to be able to cut that 40 seconds and put it out there separately, right?
We want to create an ecosystem, right? We want to create a network, a community of people, right? If someone's really excited by something that we said, let them do it. It'll happen, dude. I'm telling you, it will happen.
No, man. See, with any of the podcasts, the initial thing is podcast itself is a product.
I know, I get it.
Yeah, and that needs its own, like, some amount of marketing, packaging to be done. Some amount. I'm not saying let's go all out, right? Like, let's not make the Joe Rogan show on day one. That's not what I'm saying.
I know.
I'm saying let's take a few things from that show format that kind of makes sense and works out. Like, I love your intro idea. I think the intro is going to add that touch, right? That professional touch to it. I don't care what the intro is. It could be, like, when we start off, I think it should just say Pakoda Profit and, like, move on to the show, right? Nothing else. And then just on 4 seconds, when Pakoda comes rolling in, turns into money or something, and then like title pops up, right? Just
fried, talo it.
Fried. One guy puts Pakoda and then he pulls out money. Fucking epic. Love it. I go shoot it in Shivaji Nagar with some guy. Like, no worries. Guy puts in Pakoda and we'll remove some coins out of the oil. Sort. It'll be amazed. That's it. That's the footage, right? For 5 seconds, 8 seconds, we've told the story, we've done the intro, we're on to the show. Let's move on. I also think like, the first few episodes, we should keep it really tight, like 20 minutes. That's it.
Why?
In a sense, it makes you and I focus on topics, like bring attention, pull attention to, like, because
which is why I'm saying, right, the whole premise is this, right, that we have a meeting, we have an agenda, we talk about stuff, and then we hang out after the meeting, right? And we so the whole thing is there's this duality that we have in the way we kind of interact, right?
Yeah, sure. I'm saying let's do a very tight format in the first few sections.
See, I'm not worried about the time, right? Like, if you want.
Yeah, I'm also not like, there is no technical constraint on the time. I am putting a constraint in the start so that it's like, on some level, I don't want to waste our times with this other person or our times in any way also. So in the start, let's do 20 minutes. If people aren't going to watch 20 minutes, they're not going to watch 2 hours.
Exactly. My point is, if the agenda in the meeting is just like one line agenda, right? Then we will have only 20 minutes to talk about it,
Yeah, exactly.
right? You get my point?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So let it organically flow. So you are right that it should be 20 minutes because we literally will have like a one line agenda in the
Yeah, yeah,
meeting,
yeah.
right?
So, what are your problems with CS? Like, that's it, right? 20
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
Yeah, okay,
exactly.
fine. We'll come back to you next time. Like, that's about it.
Yeah,
That's gonna be
exactly.
the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense.
But I think this structure is very important, right? You have a formal meeting and you kind of, do it like clinically, like, these are the points, these are this thing, whatever. And then you kind of switch off from that and plug into this. And you say that, this is the way people actually build stuff.
Yeah, don't be distracted by the camera thing. I'm just like, this whole thing
No,
is
I can't
being.
see you.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
trying to see
okay.
your face.
That's this whole thing is being recorded, and like, I'm just like doing a voice test also.
Huh. No,
So
that's fine.
I'm just doing all this nonsense while we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the this format works super easy if you're here, because my that big room is just like restructure the whole room to make it like a podcast space. We can have like three cameras set up over there, and have a proper switcher in place. Do all that stuff, right? Like, I mean, it won't be pro in terms of like the camera is still going to be grainy and like most likely mine, and one more Priyanka's mobile phone. All three will be the rig.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like for me, it's like a filmmaking challenge in some sense, right? Like, and I want to like push this envelope also a little bit while we're doing it. So I want to
Sure.
get to the whole like, can I do really good live stream edits while we're doing the show, right?
Okay. Bro, how are you getting my entire frame? Oh no, that's yours. Okay. Got it. Fuck,
What?
technology is confusing. No, no. So I can see the URL code, right? PAZNKAI. And I thought, how is he getting my entire screen? And then I realized, no, he also has it at his end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dude, this thing is like Inception in some way, right? It's just so confusing.
Yeah, and no, I mean, like, you can keep messing with it, right? Like, I can I'm just gonna add a crop and say
This reminds me something.
D.
We spoke about how, um, some UIs are designed in a weird way to make people comfortable.
Yeah,
This feels like something like that, right? Like it feels like a test build.
like a test build.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a test build, right? Like, we're still figuring out. Do I come on the top
Yeah.
right? Do I come at the bottom? Where should I be? Oh, we could have a
Oh.
marquee at the bottom. It just says, "Hey, welcome to our show. Subscribe."
But that's the thing, because I don't want to call it a show.
Uh, yeah, I was kind of telling
I
Priyanka
want
about all of this in the morning, and she was like, "What you guys are doing is the Build in Public podcast, right? Like, that's what it is." Because
it is, but I want that voyeuristic thing to it.
yeah, you can't aim for that.
No, I want it to be that. I'm not saying that I want to script some outcome, right?
See, even that David Sachs podcast thing that you sent me, where he talks about cadence, like seventh time over on that podcast with that dude, right? Like, I get where his podcast kind of like shuts the fourth wall. It's the opposite of what like a lot of filmmakers early on used to do, right? Like, they had this like breaking the fourth wall to talk to the audience kind of thing. His podcast shuts the fourth wall to be able to talk to advertisers, basically, I would say. Because he shuts that podcast down and he's like, okay, now I'm going to talk to the audience, and this is sales. I'm helping my own podcast grow. I'm going to like tell you about my 4 sponsors and like why you should be on them,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, that's his way
I don't
of
want to do that.
shutting the fourth. I don't know. Like, I'm saying, let it be organic, because if it's already just like this, Google Meets turned into a podcast, right? Like, it's fine. Like, We don't have to bother because there isn't any other participants on our call, right? It's just two of us, and I have a third person, maybe a fourth person, and that's the end of that, right? Nothing
Got
else. It's already voyeuristic. It's already like just like imagine start like uploading each one of your office Zoom calls immediately after it's done. Like your manager is already losing his shit. Just like that's his nightmare, like worst nightmare come alive, right? HR teams losing their oh my god, like, what are we doing? We can't put up that's proprietary information, right? Like no, and then like yeah, oh yeah, you should check out this Glimish. I think that's what it's called. Uh, that's the guy who's building that Twitch competitor.
Glimesh. Huh?
Glimish.tv. Yeah. So this founder's insane. He's put up like all his like financial statements and blah 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 on
Yeah,
online.
full on. We should do all that.
Yeah. He's like, this is built in public. I want to build everything in public. Everything is like fully public. I
Yeah.
think that approach of his as has what has led him to like clear mission statement, roadmap, delivering the roadmap, and not like twisting and turning your words as and when it pleases you, right? Like that's the only
Yeah.
thing that
That's the thing that pisses me off about like startups, right? They're just posturing, right? Like I want to show how fucked up it actually is, right? I want to show the rawness of how the process of building something is.
yeah, man. I mean,
Like there's so many mistakes, so many assumptions, and so many things get fucked up.
yeah, shit goes wrong. I don't want to be that guy who's saying no, we don't need to show that stuff and all of that. But like, I'm down for that. I'm like I said, like I like this whole build in public thing. I like this whole like, being accountable to your customers even before you built anything idea.
Right. But the I'll tell you why I'm a little hesitant about this whole fourth wall thing, right? Um, I saw Adi building in public, right? And after a point, because he was so aware that he was building in public, he started becoming performative.
Yeah,
I don't want that to happen.
no, yeah. I think I'm gonna take a page from Snoop Dogg's words over here and just be like, keep it real, bro. Just keep it real. That's it, right? Like,
Cool,
just
cool.
keep it
Yeah,
real.
let's just do it, man. Let's just do it.
Like, I mean, like, there's you. I've been that guy, right? Like, I've been that like hippie
Fuck,
who
pick it.
was.
Like we should put this itself, right? This conversation itself, we should put it out
Yeah, that's why I'm recording it. I'll upload it.
there. Because it's just so weird, right? The kind of emotions that you go through, right? You want to script this, unscript it, restrict this, control that,
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
telling you, this is a like I'm gonna like I'm gonna make a YouTube channel, okay,
yeah,
called Pakoda Profit, because
full on.
you named it. Uh, I like it. We're just going with it.
Some guy for the BJP is going to come and slip up, you dude.
No, man, like this is Modi ji ka ashirwad. No, after all. I mean, he said, if you can't do anything, go down the road and make pakodas. We're making pakodas on YouTube. That's it. Don't die. It's too early.
God. Yeah, full on.
Yeah, and yeah, fuck, we better be profitable. So this is Modi ji is going to be
There's,
pissed with us.
there is nothing. There's no capital infusion. Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. All we
We
have
make
to do is get. So I think the goal should be simple, right? We make a SaaS, and the first 6 months, our goal is to hit $83 MRR.
I don't know, bro. Just make money.
Yeah,
No
I'm
goals,
just saying
no
very
aspirations.
simple goal, right? And then move it up to $830 MRR, and then to 8,300 MRR, and then finally 83,000. Then that's when you have $1 million startup in your hands.
So, what happened to you that you reached this number 8? Let's talk about that.
It's 1 million divided by 12. Simple.
Shoo. Okay.
That's it.
I think people are obsessed with round numbers, no, like nice looking numbers.
People are obsessed with just round things. Like, look at you.
Oh, dude.
Round is the
No,
sign
dude,
of
like
health. I buy that shit.
prosperity.
Yeah.
No, so anyway, irrelevant tangent.
Yeah,
Huh.
what's your problem with round numbers?
No, dude, like I've seen, right? In reality, it's all very, very messy. Like I'm talking to a bunch of companies right now, right?
Mm.
And everybody's talking just round numbers. Like there was some conversation where the number 29 came in, and
Mm.
the other guy just could not bring himself to say 29. He was like 30.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so I know that half the world has this problem with odd numbers and even numbers. I think it's a thing that they instill when you're in nursery, when they teach you odd numbers and even numbers, right? Like, it starts there. You're like, oh, I don't like those odd numbers because they're odd. Like, I don't think odd numbers should be called odd. What's odd about those numbers? They're just numbers, dude. Like, even numbers,
Okay.
they get a
Can,
balanced name, right? Like, even, like, it's all balanced. That's the problem.
can,
I know this
can we?
because Akshaya is OCD level about odd numbers, even now. She, like, you get kisses in twos or not. It goes to that level. Okay, you have no idea how obsessed people are with even numbers.
Yeah.
And like, it's the funniest thing because people are not, nobody ever have I ever met who's like everything should be threes or everything should be fives or everything should be seven. The only people who talk that shit is jazz musicians and Carnatic musicians, and we all know how popular they are. So
Hmm. No, I was about to say, as a policy, we should just always have like weird numbers. Like our target should be 1112
I think
something.
83,333.33333 is as weird as it gets. Okay,
Take it, done.
because you're dividing by 12. That itself is like, huh, what? Like, like brain cannot compute is happening.
Take it, done. Eight and threes. Let's do it.
Yeah, 8 with a lot of threes next to it, like as many threes
Yeah.
as possible.
Cool. So I was just thinking, like, if I'm going to be in Bangalore by the end of the month, but can we kind of get the ball rolling on something?
Yeah,
How
I'll
do we
make
kind
the
of do that?
YouTube page today. I'll upload this stream. We'll start talking about it on Twitter. That's that's basically how every marketing guy starts off, right? Like, I'll build your
Yeah. So,
channels, I'll build your pages, and then we'll start populating with content. Like, yeah, sure,
so
okay.
what? This is a pilot. Huh?
There's no pilot. This is it. This is Pakoda Profit season 1, episode 0.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yay! We did
Like,
it.
if you want to, like, now I'm going to break the fourth wall, right? Like, if you really want to, like, know what we're doing, just follow the page. You'll find out. Like, that's about it. Like, I mean, it's no nonsense, right? Like, that's what you wanted, Haji. Like, you want to know what we're doing? Subscribe, watch, keep it tuned.
Hold
That's
on.
it.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get started on all of this, but I'm talking about the actual business, right? Like, how do we decide what business to do?
We don't. I mean, like, see, I like to work with founders. I'm not going to change that now, right? Like, I feel like whatever we're going to build is a startup for startups, right? And
Yeah.
if that's the scenario that we're building in, then we already have identified a demographic that we want to help, right? We want to help founders, first time founders, second time founders, doesn't matter. Somebody who wants to get things off the ground. So, uh, you coming from the finance fintech side of things are interested in helping them from that point of view, right? Like, to start a business can get confusing, complicated, blah blah blah. So, who's the first person that you need to speak to, and at what stage, right? That's also critical, because I'm the guy who says, like, who tells people, no, you build your website first, okay. You build all the pages, you put your about page, you do all that, then you go and buy your domain name. don't do it the other way around, right? Like, because that's stupid. It's the easiest thing to do is go swipe your card on Google Domains or something and buy a domain. But that does not mean you've launched a product, right? Or anything.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like why we know who we want to help, right? We know that for them to avail the services of a CA is they have to do a few steps before they even approach a CA.
No. So I'm even like asking the question before that, right? Like, is the problem that we want to solve that of a CA or a CS or whatever? What is it, right? Should we just start talking to founders?
Yeah, I think talking to founders, see, because this neither is the CA or the CS going to actually help us in solving anything, right?
They come later, right? We need to
Yeah,
first
to
talk to
kind
the
of
customer.
figure out what loopholes and nuances and things like that. That's when we'll need to talk to CAs and CS like people. But like what you're constantly saying is not that you want to fix chartered accountancy problems using tech. You want to help founders.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's CACS is like a much later conversation. Maybe you speak to 10 founders and they say, you know what, just finding a name for a startup is ridiculous. Can you build me a name generator? I'm not happy with any of these. Why do you need to talk to a CA for that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like, so the jam is always the same. You figure out who you want to help, and then you go talk to enough of those kind of people. They'll tell you what to build.
Right. So, who in your network and my network can you talk to?
Like, yeah, this is where it gets blurry, right? Like, I have like founders across the board. I have people who are like getting to their 100K MRRs, and I have people who have like just started out, like sold 4 products so far, like you know.
I think we should talk to the entire range, right? Successful, failed, attempting,
Second, third round.
struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do alternate. You find a founder, I'll find a founder, and we shall set up a meeting with these 2 randos over a call. All 4 of us. That'd be whack.
Yeah.
Like 2 founders and 2 of us.
No, I think that will get kind of distracting, right?
Yeah,
Like,
why would it?
shouldn't we do like one by one?
I mean, I'm not against the idea. I just feel like, kind of like community building, you need to throw random people into each other's face also to figure out, right? Like if you get 2 guys who are kind of in the same stage of their companies, having the same kind of problems, you might actually get better like answers, and hell, they might just help each other out, right? Like in some sense. Because
Let me talk to Sajan and see if he wants to talk to us.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
He
I'm
seems.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, we should totally get Sajan on board. Saj is also like the services guy, right? Like he's building a lifestyle business. Like digital marketing is never gonna go away. You're always gonna have a small chunk of the pie.
But it's so hard, man. Like, what kind of grit do you need to have to kind of build a business which requires you to grind away all the time?
No, it's like, look, there's like I think out of 100 entrepreneurs, maybe okay, maybe the numbers are skewed now because of this whole like SaaS being easy to build and all of that. But I think even in that space, right, most people end up building lifestyle businesses and not valuation businesses. And that's one of the one of the reasons I would say is it just sounds so risky and difficult, and like the failure is so much more magnanimous when you build a valuation business, right? Because if you fail a solopreneur project SaaS that you've been building for like 6 months, you probably spent, I don't know, $2,000 on it altogether. You spent only your time, not hired anybody, you're not working with anybody else. You probably built up a runway for yourself before you started doing this. So like if you have wife and kids, they're not on your back about like, hey, why aren't you not going to office and bringing in the bread? So you have that space to build, but what ends up happening is even there you end up building not for passive income but because of your passion for building.
Hmm.
With a lot of these businesses, like I love Saj, I love what he's doing. I think he's very good at what he does, even though that niche that he's in. But like,
Hmm.
what I feel like is he is building to be able to play office, not like deliver great amount of value. And I don't think it's an inherent flaw or in any which way. He wants to have a lifestyle where he is boss of this organization and he calls the shots and he has clients that he answers to, and he doesn't have a boss that he answers to anymore. And that's a very
No, I'm not
legendary.
getting into. I'm not getting into any of that, right? I'm getting into the fact that it's a grind, right? Like
It's a
the
grind, but that's what
at
I'm
least.
saying. Because it's a lifestyle business, you want to
Hmm.
maintain the lifestyle. So you'll do whatever
Hmm.
it takes to keep the grind going.
So the hustle is what excites people.
It's the dailies, it's the process
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
getting a new client, bagging that new client, delivering excellent
Hmm.
service to that client, getting that testimonial
Hmm.
from that client. It's that loop, right?
Hmm.
Like keep going in that vicious cycle, and
Hmm.
making sure that cycle just gets bigger and bigger over time, right? That's what lifestyle businesses do. You keep offering the same exact service over and over again till either you get more people to offer the service to, or you're charging more to offer the same service.
Hmm. Got it.
Yeah, like biryani, dude. Like if you start an Ambur biryani cart today, you're probably starting that Ambur biryani cart because you love biryani. It's got nothing to do
Got it.
with who you're feeding, how many people you're going to be able to feed, can you scale into other markets, what is the total acquire. But
Hmm.
nobody cares about TAM in that situation or lifetime value of a customer. You want to feed
Hmm.
that guy so that he croaks dead from the taste, and like the newspapers report that, oh my god, guy died because your biryani was so amazing, right? That's what you want in that situation.
Have you seen those automated kitchens where there's the device which is like tossing fried rice by itself?
Yeah. There's one of those in the
Yeah.
robot kitchen. They opened just before the pandemic in Bangalore. Okay, this
Yeah.
I don't know who it was. I think they spent like some 5.5, 8 crores in just setting up that
Yeah.
place, right? Like just
Yeah.
like think about it. You have like robot waiters and robot, like basically it's that robotic arm thing, right? Like
Yeah.
industrial
Yeah.
robotic arm that's doing all the
Yeah.
cooking. And like
Hmm.
somebody, like some guy like you and like his team of like minions had to come and sit and program those robots to like stir fry fried rice. And this like, as fun as it is, animating that stuff isn't going to be like super fun, and it needs to work at scale, right? So after a while this thing is flipping works like on levels and at speeds that no human can ever reach, right? But you need to make sure that the physics of it all works out so that all the things stay in the work.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
the guy
No,
built.
that's what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm the kind of guy who would probably end up building a biryani business like that, right? Like, it's automated and it just delivers, right?
Yeah. Food cart, right? Like with those 3D hands on top, right? Like this, like a 3D printer. It just goes down and picks things up, and yeah, I could see it. I could see it.
Cool. So let me go talk to Saj and you go talk to someone and then
Who do you want? Like, tell me, like who you want. Like,
someone who's like very different from Saj, right? So then some kind of conversation emerges from that.
eh, somebody who's building a product. Then
Hmm.
who's building a product? Yeah, okay. I'll check on the 1,000 founders community.
Hmm. No, I think, what about the stethoscope guys?
Arvin,
Hmm.
too early, I would say.
Okay. Uh,
That's a
cool.
what
You've
what
figured it out.
not to do in a startup lesson, not what to do in a startup.
No, but see that's the whole thing, right? Like we need to talk to everybody and see where is it that they got stuck and where they needed help.
mm, okay.
Like founders who crash and burn also are like good people to talk to, right? Because they know what really they struggled with.
Hmm. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm gonna look out. I'm gonna find somebody um, on that line. Uh, Actually, I think I do. I just spoke to these guys from Apply.ai. Uh, they're building. So basically, they built a site. They built some service before that didn't really work out. Uh, Through the pandemic, they realized that their TAM wasn't big enough, so they wanted to pivot, but they were like mostly out of money. So they let go of their entire team of like 18 people or 12 people or something like that. And then they had some money left over, so they started building Apply, which gives freshers a virtual internship experience. So it's a simulated environment where uh, people get to like be part of the team and see what it's like to be part of an organization before actually going through the interview process itself. I think I, I don't know. I think
How will that help?
so. What he was telling me is a HR recruitment process in a big company adds on 14 days to 24 days depending on the role that person.
Jesus, wait. I need to rant. I need to rant.
Yes.
Okay, I'm applying to companies in Europe and America, and it is reached ridiculous levels. Okay,
Yeah.
the form is fucking like worse than any Indian question paper also.
Oh God.
Like, what is your gender? How do you identify? Are you a veteran? Are you this? Are you that? Equal opportunity? Like, there's just so much going on. Why do you need to know any of this about me to kind of work with me?
I mean, I think it's because of the labor laws and the whole like labor
Yeah,
movement
they,
that's
they
happening,
literally
right?
mention the regulation code, right? Whatever act or
Yeah,
whatever this
yeah,
thing, they
yeah, yeah,
mention that in the form itself. That
yeah.
this is why I need this. But I'm like, what level have you guys reached where you are not focusing on doing things and you're just worried about all this bullshit, right?
No,
Like, it's
that's
crazy.
this is why US and Europe need bigger HR teams. They need people in their HR teams to make sure that they're compliant with all this stuff. Because look, it's very
Nuts, man.
easy, right? Like there's two both sides of the equation. As a capitalist, you want to kind of like make sure that you're using resources optimally. You're delivering better value for your stakeholders and your customers, right? While keeping costs down, right? And so it's very easy to slip into, yeah, it's okay if my people work like 4 extra hours, and then that 4 extra hours becomes the norm, and then you're like slipped into another 2 extra hours, and the only people who can do this is like big racist white men. So you like now have a workforce full of them, and then it's it's a complex problem. And when you look at it from the other side, right, like you have people going, I'm minimum wage, you're not hiring me because you think I'm a woman, and like I can't work your lines better or whatever it is. The problem is it's applicable, like all of this is applicable to certain kinds of jobs, certain kinds of labor that's involved. What happens is when
No,
you
my
pass when
question,
you pass
my question
legislature,
is,
it goes blanket, right? Like it's now
I
applicable to
know.
everybody.
I know. I'm just see. I'm talking from a interviewee point of view, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm exhausted filling forms. Like, I
Yeah,
don't want to apply to companies now because I'm just
maybe
exhausted.
the answer is to have one standardized place where you fill up one profile, and then that
Hey,
profile
LinkedIn
goes,
cracked this. Huh?
huh.
LinkedIn cracked this. So they have this thing called Easy Apply, where you basically just like apply once, and then everybody else basically it reuses the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I thought LinkedIn would have like doubled down on this, but again, like when you have excess of capital, you don't know what to do, and you just don't do anything after a while, I guess, right?
No, my thing was like, all this conversation can be had once you kind of decide to work together, right? Like,
No, that's the
when you
problem, right?
have
Like,
that.
that's the issue. Like, these are like, it's like now you need some form of know your employee thing even before you start off the interview, right? Like the whole reason for an interview process was to know if the person is a good fit in the culture of the organization. Not even got to do anything with the skills, because you can do a test before you even interview the person, right? Like you can just be like, hey, here's
Don't even get me started on that rant.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. No, I
I
mean,
have seen such bullshit.
Yeah, I mean they'll ask you to solve like production level problems and like say call it a test, and then like next thing you know they're using your code in production and like
No. It's not even that. I'm
huh.
not even going there. They want, it's become like Indian education system, man. They want you to like memorize shit and like answer questions. I'm like, how is this going to translate to any business value, right? Like you want people who are able to memorize and answer a question paper. Is that the kind of employees you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've learned that from capitalistic structures and our own education system also, right? Like you let things be long enough in the hands of administrators, it's going to become this kind format of testing, right? Uh, I
To
don't
me, if
know.
I see something like this, right, like I'm like, no, thank you, please.
No,
It looks like
I
you guys are up to some bullshit.
yeah, I guess that's one way of looking at it. But you know what? Like we tried hiring designers in the exact opposite way. No test, nothing. We will check your work out. We will see who you are as a person. We will have one or two conversations with you on the phone. Join us. Work with us a month. It's a paid month. We will confirm you immediately after that month. No 6 months probation BS. You know. Three candidates accepted the offers and then ghosted us on the day of employment. Like
No,
on
that's
their
a
day of
completely different thing, right?
joining, they just like disappeared. And this was us trying to make the interview process as simple, as light, and as like engaging as possible, right? Like we knew what our issues were. We knew what the kind of help we were looking for. We we shortlisted profiles. We made it our job to shortlist profiles that we like and get to people. There's a bunch of people that we're like maybe not, because portfolio sharing itself is an art form that not a lot of artists and designers know. Like how to share your portfolio itself is such a big thing. So there were some people with terrible portfolios, but when we spoke to them on the phone, we realized that these people are really capable of, doing things, and it's just not translated onto their portfolio in some sense. So we gave them offers and we tried to cut this whole process down drastically by just purely in terms of let's save everybody's time and energy, right? Like that was the whole approach, and this was the response we got. It wasn't like one person showed up and two people didn't show up.
No.
All
So
three of them
I'll
just
tell you.
ghosted us, like just flat out.
No. So I'll tell you what I did, and probably you can kind of think about that, right? So what I used to do is basically talk to these guys, and I used to look for some basic things, right? Can they communicate well? Can they, do they understand some basic concepts in the space, right? And then after that, I would ask them to talk about their work, right? And if they basically talk in a way which kind of gives you that feeling that they've done something, then we used to do what you described, right? Like come work with us.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we did this at Localoi, which was Aditya used to call it like dating before marriage, right?
Yeah.
So we used to do that. But I think that initial conversation where you kind of talk to them and kind of try to see if they've actually done something, because when you talk about something that you've done, you talk about it differently, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that probably, if you incorporate, you'll get better results.
No, that's exactly what we did. We went down this. Okay, tell us what you did for this previous e-commerce place that you worked at. What are the things that you did for them in terms of design? And they go down into all of this. This was the thing, right? Like even if their portfolio doesn't really showcase all these things, like in terms of visual communication, when you talk to them, you realize that they went, collected a brief, formulated it in their head, made something out of it, translated it into visual communication, and put it down on paper, and this is what it comes up to. The process and all that was awesome. But what I'm trying to say, what I'm thinking of is,
And after that, they still didn't show up.
yeah, they didn't show up. We gave them like they negotiated price, and we gave them whatever they wanted. Like somebody was like, my previous job I was getting 35. We said we'll give you 40, and they was like, can you do 45? We're like, yeah, sure. You know what? Fuck it, take 48. No big deal, right? Like just, and then not show up, not even respond. So I think it's like what I'm wondering is, at some level, does do HR guys, and I know some of them think of it like this, that if you set up more hoops to jump through to get the job, does it kind of translate into this person really wants this job? I know it's horrible way of thinking of it, but hey, I'm not a HR guy. I do work with HR teams and I know how they end up thinking of these things. My thing with HR teams is always to tell them be transparent. Just tell the people, right? Like if as a HR person you can't communicate clearly with employees, you can't expect the inverse to happen. You can't expect employees to communicate clearly with you, right? Like it's
Increasingly, I'm learning that communication is exceptionally hard.
it's the only thing. Like, I mean, no matter what you do, you can be the greatest like baseball player, but if you can't communicate it to somebody, you're not making it to the big leagues. No ways. The whole world, as much as you want to say that it runs on technology or gasoline or like roads connect the world, no, it's people, man. It's a whole shit is made by people for people to be used by people. Like, if you're bad at communicating and building relationships, you're gonna have like so, like it's gonna be tough. Add ambition to that mix,
True.
it's really gonna be tough, right? So
Oh yeah.
yeah, if you're not ambitious, you don't need to communicate to people. You can live like a hermit, completely fine, right? Like life's gonna be epic, no issues there.
Wow, PK, this became Pravachan.
Huh?
Very,
I
very
know.
deep, meaningful.
No, dude, it's not. It's I
No, no, but it's all good, man. It's like gold.
It's common sense, I feel. I think that, like, there's no weight. Like, a lot of people will complain, I wish they taught us about taxes in school. They did teach you about taxes in school. Go back and look at your 8th standard mathematics textbook. At the end of it, last 3 chapters is all about the income tax slabs. We did income tax problems in school. Like, I remember it.
Yeah, but
And
it was like super simplified. I mean, that's what people are bitching
no,
about,
it
right? Like
was just not
you
relevant
did
at that
emphasize.
time. Teaching a guy like some 13-year-old how to do taxes is not relevant because he doesn't have an income. Like, give him a second,
You know,
give all 8th standard students a part-time job, whatever it is, run like assistant librarian.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
give them
Yeah,
that, give them a paycheck, right? And then teach them about taxes. They'll be like, oh shit, yeah.
exactly.
And teach them about investments at that time. They'll be like, huh, okay, yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense, right? No, these are kids on pocket money, right? Like, it's not the same thing. They're not earning anything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's the context really matters. And yeah, this whole how to be happy in life is not something they can like put in a curriculum even if they wanted to, because like no, like this is something that people forget, right? There's the intent of education, and then there's the execution of education. These two things are controlled and like dictated by two very different sets of people, right? Like, what is the intent of an 8th standard education is set by like a board of people sitting in a ministry up north in Delhi, right? The people who have to execute this are like you and me, like, except like if we were school teachers and we're like barely making minimum wage, we have a whole house to run, right? And like,
Yeah.
God forbid we're married and have kids, then there's that whole responsibility. And then you want me to go and deliver this very wholesomely intentful education to some students? Like, no, don't want to translate.
Oh,
This
that's a massively different conversation.
Oh my God,
Someone
let us not talk
someone
about
shared
edtech ever on this platform. Like, it's just
exactly.
like, I think we need one of those. I think I should generate these buttons or gifs for you, which is like, PK, no, don't go there, don't go there. Like just these alarm bells ringing off. This
Yeah, yeah. No.
rant averted. Like, like it should.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So we have action item. So we shall execute and we shall figure it out.
Okay. So you want to do the minutes of this meeting and then we'll like log off.
We should have done the meeting before this.
No,
At least that's
it's like
the
what we learned from this meeting, like like that.
we learned that we should talk to founders to figure out what is it that we can help them with,
Mm-hmm.
and without structure, you will kind of go on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
pretty much,
And we should know what rants to avoid.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool.
that.
That's great. I think that's a great wrap up for an hour, calling it.
Cool.
Hopefully, it's recorded your voice also this time. And
Inshallah.
yeah, otherwise, we just like the next thing that we try, we'll just like try and record off Zoom or Meets or something and just upload that thing, right? Like,
Hey, what's the deal with Zoom? Why do they curtail the time?
I don't know. At some point, if you're just on a call with one other person, it used to be you can go on forever. But now, no, and then they did this. If it's a group call, like a conference call with 3-4 people, then it's limited to a 40-minute meeting. I think they're like super aligned with like corporate ideology, right? Like you shouldn't be having a meeting more than 40 minutes, a waste of time, right? Uh, and then I think it's on some front this marketing upsell thing of like GoPro and we'll give you unlimited video conferencing time.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. You know, while we're at it, I feel like we should just try every video conferencing platform there is. I don't know
Yeah,
why. Like let's get on Skype next and
I
see.
mean, we might need it, right? Like, what if we want to talk to someone who is not in Bangalore or whatever?
I thought like Google Meets is everywhere.
No, no, no. In the sense, uh, if that person has some firewall or whatever, right?
Oh, like
Something, you never
somebody's
know.
in China and we need to like
Ah,
talk to them in some weird. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah,
no,
we
no. So,
should do that.
like a very good argument I heard was Google Meets is like very resource intensive, and if you're on a good Wi-Fi, it will work. But Zoom is kind of optimized for that or whatever. So these kind of things come up, right?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, and we'll only know. And also like I think the one thing we need to kind of keep figuring and testing and making sure things are getting done is this whole OBS thing, because I feel like it's going to take a little bit more before we actually crack all the technical parts and making sure your audio is coming through and the other person's audio is coming through and my audio is coming through and then all of it is being streamed correctly. Uh, yeah, it's going to take some time to set this in place, but I think once that's set in place, also like this whole like it still annoys me, right? Like this full face cam versus where should the screen be? Should it be on your face? Like I don't know the answers to these questions. I feel like we'll only know as we keep going
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, okay, I'm calling it for now. It's a good idea
Yep.
with the
Yep.
intro. I'm gonna make the Pakoda Profit logo and share it with you. Then I'll
Awesome.
make the YouTube and Twitter channels, Twitter pages, and like,
Full on.
yeah. But before that, I'm gonna check out this recording and see if it's like recorded your voice also, and
No.
yeah. Otherwise, we'll have to like get on another call later tonight and make more content.
If content making is this easy, that I have all of it.
This is what it is. This is all it is.
Yeah.
What I figured was like you just need another person to talk to or something engaging enough to do. So
Yeah.
I built that games guru thing because like um, I figured I want to get into game making eventually, and this whole like card game thing is
Same here.
yeah, like this whole card game thing is very interesting approach because it's a totally no code approach to gaming, right? Like you make a game with like a bunch of cards, you're still getting people engaged and playing. The fun part about the card game is it's such a Bangalore house party card game, right? Like so I'm going to start showing up at people's houses and live streaming these card games over there. That's the plan. But in the meanwhile, I thought that I should engage with the regular gaming community, and the only way to engage with the gaming community is to be good at games, some games, right? Like it doesn't matter which game, just just play, showing them that I play games and I'm also interested in this and I play all kinds of games. I'm not just like some startup dude bro who like woke up one morning and decided to start a stream because he has a product to sell now. Like, I just want to be part of the community because like I've always been playing games. I mean, you were so integral in showcasing a lot of early games to me. Like, I wouldn't have known GTA if it wasn't for you, I think. Like, because I remember playing GTA 2 first in your house when you were living in near Bell Road. You know that like your dad had that house that was given by, I forget which company it was, opposite Neil Road, right? And you had a PC there, and you had a Game Boy as well over there, that tiny handheld Game Boy. I didn't get Pokemon. I didn't understand it. You was like hooked on it, and I remember you said, "Hey, there's this thing called God mode, and if you put that and you get unlimited ammo, you can do this like Bhumi Chakra thing with the flamethrower, where you can just go stand in the middle of the road, press one direction key, and fire in all directions, right? And this guy keeps spinning, and like everything, like trucks and like buses and cops are all just coming at him. And because he's in this like maniacal like spinning flamethrower thing, like everything is just like exploding on contact, right? Like, I thought that was genius. I was like, wow, in games you can be a criminal. That's so cool. Rampage time. Yeah, and FIFA for some reason has also been that thing that has just been there forever. I remember playing early versions of.
Somehow I never got hooked on that. Somehow it never happened. Like I love football. I love watching it. I love playing it. But I
I
somehow
can't
never got
watch.
onto FIFA.
I can't watch. I
Yeah,
the way I
can't
keep
watch.
in track of clubs and players in which clubs and all of that is actually through the game. Like I can't watch. I can't sit down and follow a season. I can't sit down and like root for a team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about like even I don't do that, right? Like I'm not a hardcore fan,
Yeah,
but I love watching like a random game, right?
I love watching the World Cup because I think there's something about that. This whole like nationalism thing is at its peak and like it does something there. I can't do that with like clubs and all that, but I love playing. Like, you know, like Borussia Dortmund is like my club. Like I always play with that club. People play with like Man City and Man U and FC Barcelona and all of that, and they still get whooped by me. And then they're like, "How are you playing with this team? Their stats are so horrible. They have just one striker, and everybody else is a defender in that team." I'm like, "Look, wait and watch, wait and watch." And it's so cool. Like,
But even the Indian local scene is not bad, dude. It's actually very interesting. Some really lovely kids are, doing some crazy stuff.
yeah, I mean, that's something I could totally get into, but like it's always been there in pockets. Like Coles Park, Frasertown area has always had like insane football matches happening locally, and it's local teams, right? Like just local clubs. There have been so many times that whole Mosque Road area is just like a traffic jam because people have come parked outside the football stadium and they're like,
Yeah, yeah,
go to hell. Like, this is our local scene. Figure a whole other route. It's okay.
I think it's very atypical of Bangalore where you have that kind of pond kind of design where
No. It's everywhere.
the
I mean, like even Calcutta is big on this scene, on the football scene, and they
yeah.
also have these stadiums where with that kind of like step seating where
Ha ha
people
ha
come. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
It's. I think there's some locales in Bombay also which have that kind of a setup, and they have like local
Oh
clubs
wow, I
playing.
didn't know that.
It's football has been an integral part of India for a long time, right? Like there've been like these crazy stories of people going all the way to Brazil to meet Ronaldo, like once in the airport, right? Like it's there is crazy fanaticism, but I don't know. I don't know why it's not as mainstream. It's getting there now. It's like now that we've done, completely monetizing cricket. I think
I think cricket is done, bro. Like the way things are going, right?
I don't think
I
it'll
think
ever
we
be
hit the
done,
peak.
right? Like no, that's what we've hit.
No, no, in the sense, yeah,
We've hit the glass
yeah,
ceiling, and like we've
yeah,
monetized
yeah.
and we've like squeezed as much juice out of that sugar cane as we could. I need to find a different sugar cane, and seems like football is coming up next. Um,
That kabaddi
MMA.
thing didn't take off, no?
No, Kabaddi is gonna evolve and like have a cross between Kabaddi and like some form of MMA, and then they're gonna let go of Kabaddi and just be MMA, right? Like,
Dude, Kabaddi and MMA. Jesus.
I mean, in the sense, it won't really be like people whacking the shit out of each other on a Kabaddi ground, going Kabaddi, Kabaddi, Kabaddi. No, it's just gonna be like the Kabaddi players are gonna leave and move on to
Uh,
MMA.
you've kind of changed my perspective of MMA forever. Now, anytime I see a MMA match, I'm gonna be like,
Kabaddi,
that guy's
Kabaddi, Kabaddi,
probably under
Kabaddi,
his breath.
Kabaddi, 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 Kabaddi.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah. Sports is, I, I don't know, man. Like I think the cool thing would be to come up with a sport, right? Like at this point, if you could come up with something, that would be genius. Yeah, there is actually a whole like hour-long podcast to be had with Ishwar specifically. We should throw in Ashish in the mix just for the kick. But specifically to learn from Ishwar the history of how MMA became as popular as it is now, and how it's going to have its own Super Bowl moment in the coming,
oh, for sure.
right? But like
For sure.
the cool part about this whole story, and I'm gonna reserve most of the storytelling to Ishwar, is that it took one guy to make this, to be the catalyst, to make it into this. And that guy is like been involved in so many other hype building franchisee models. It's insane. So I'm gonna keep this for another day. I'm gonna talk Ishwar into joining us on the podcast to specifically talk about the rise and fall, not fall, the rise of MMA. Let's put it that way, and who was involved. Because
It's very interesting. You can learn so many things by talking to people who are not part of your field, right? Like one of the things I actively do is I avoid engineers because I don't want to talk to engineers outside of work.
yeah, I don't talk to anybody who like puts a label on themselves and like so closed down. Uh, I always like I think that's been the thing, right? Like I tell people when people come and say I'm stuck with a problem or something, I'm like, go watch TV, go watch a play, go listen to music, just go for a run, read a book. Uh, and then like they usually catch on to this read a book thing. Oh, read a book about the problem that I'm facing. I'm like, no. Read fiction, right? Like read a story that has nothing to do with anything that you're doing. Because that's where you're going to find inspiration. You're not going to find inspiration in your textbook. That's a guide to how to use your tools, right? Yeah, your inspiration is going to come from somewhere. Like, you remember that like animation fest I did in when I was in college? That was like that. I was totally inspired to do that because I went to Rangashankara to watch a theater festival. And I was like, holy shit, this is insane, right? They had clowns on stilts and like jugglers and like random performances breaking out in the cafeteria and like on this small stage on the staircase. Like real actors, they like that you would like, then go on like in half an hour while you're waiting for the play to get started. You'd go on to watch these people on stage. They're like running around putting on performances, juggling, doing acts. Two people act for like 5 minutes and things like that. uh, it was insane to see like a festival of theater, right? Like unfold in front of you. And I was like, holy shit, why isn't something like this there for animation? And then I started thinking about what an animation fest would be like. And I had like a very naive perspective from whatever curriculum was dictated to me in animation in college, right? Like, and then we built this whole like bunch of games, which was like character designing and like landscape designing and like animation. This is a small cell animation type of things, and like and just invited every other animation school to come be a part of it, right? Like, and it was I would not have been, I wouldn't even have thought of coming up with a festival for animation if I hadn't visited a festival for theater. So, yeah, and like, yeah, and so yeah, you got to do other things to be inspired. The inspiration is not like within the solution that you're writing already, right? Like it's somewhere else.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally encourage my distracted mind with that. Like I have as many toys, books, and other things just lying around so that like not a moment of like, oh, I'm stuck here, right? Like the second I feel like I'm stuck with something, I just stop doing that thing and go do something else. Right? Fun
Yeah,
times.
but it's also the nature of the kind of things that you do, right? Like you do a wide array of things.
Yeah, yeah, it all kind of adds up, is what I feel. Like I always thought like like my big aim when I was like learning and trying all these things was to become a filmmaker, and like the thought process was, I need to know about costumes, lighting, cameras, acting, scripting, editing. I need to know and have at least done one of these projects to fruition as a writer, as an actor, as a camera person, as a DOP, as a lighting guy, as a editor, as a After Effects guy, post production guy, whatever it is. I need to have done it once just so that I can talk to people in who are the experts, right? Who've dedicated their lives to being an actor, or dedicated, like, I think that's the key role of a director, orchestrator, producer, whatever you want to call this person, right? Like the project manager, basically, the guy who's putting the whole thing together and getting it executed. You need to know a little bit of all of it. I remember calling you just before I joined Wi-Fi Dabba and going like, how do I talk to tech guys, right? And you said, don't talk tech to them. Tell them that this is what you want to solve, and that helped so much because when I did like I think the one of the key changes I went to try and make in Wi-Fi Dabba was they had this captive portal that would pop up every time you connect to the Wi-Fi signal, right? It's a very limited, restrictive, very secure portal, right? Like you just have very basic input, output, and rendering capability on that. The problem was because there were so many different Android phones accessing the network, we could never design something for the captive portal which was, like which just fit perfectly for everybody and like was user friendly. And I realized what the problem was because every engineer that I was talking to was like, every time I would be like, here's where they input the number, the mind automatically says, okay, create an input field. And when that input field is triggered, the Android keyboard pops up, right? That Android keyboard popping up was the problem. Because as soon as that thing would pop up, sometimes the captive portal would just die. Like it just crash and like stop working. And that was a lost user for us. That was a person who went, oh, this UI is shit. I don't want to use this. The alternate suggestion from the engineer was build an Android app and make people install it. And marketing obviously came back and said, hell no, that's a whole other challenge to solve. We're looking at completely different KPIs. We're looking at completely different demographic. We're looking at completely different strategy. No ways we were able to do that. Different story. I was the marketing team over there, right? Like, so I was the guy who was spotting the problem in product and then realizing why the solution offered by engineers is not going to work, because it creates a whole new marketing catastrophe. My solution to it was simple: get rid of the input field. The input field is actually a display field, okay? And give numbers on the screen. Give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with the hash and the star on the screen, which are buttons that you've created. So at no point does your code ask to pull up an Android feature. You're on the captive portal. It looks like exactly like the interface that people are used to in like STD booths, right? You go up there, there's a number pad, you just hit the number pad, the number pops up in the display field, move on, right? Like that's the chain. Man, it was such a fight with that engineering team because this Android person kept coming back and saying, why do you want me to build a keyboard? There is already a keyboard on Android. And I was like, lady, it takes you like 20 minutes to put that together in HTML. Okay, it's not rocket science. It's like maybe you will have a little fiddling to do with CSS after that, but like it's easy. It's not. I'm not asking you to like. Yes, I'm asking you to reinvent the wheel in some sense of the word, but it's really going to like cut so many problems in terms of customer acquisition. And I was like, yeah, she got fired and somebody else did it anyways. Like, so, uh, but, but that's the truth, right? Like, it's so simple to, because it's people. At the end of the day, you're talking to people. You trust them to with their skill set to solve the problem that you want. And the only thing you want from anybody in any organization is to align with that end goal. Are we making a better product, or are we making life better for the customer? That's the two things that are like that come from the founders, right? Like a product founder will just say, just make a better product, good customers will follow, which is like horse shit on bullshit on, and like a whole, it's like a full shit stack, right? Like
PK, if anyone asks us how we built our product, we're going to say full shit stack.
yeah, it's a full shit stack. It's like it's shit that people told us and we stacked it on top of each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full shit stack. I love this.
Yeah. Yeah, so like sometimes, it's that common thing of you miss the woods for the trees. You're just like, hey, there's only trees here. Where's the forest? Right?
My friend.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Ah,
We should wrap now
okay.
and let's talk to people and come back.
Okay, fine. I will. I'll set up. We do the back and forth on the logo and the channel and all that stuff today.
Yeah. But we should get this out so then I can show it to Saj, right? So he can see what he's kind of
I
getting.
figured. Yeah, I'm gonna get this out so that I think we have 3 things already lined up. I'm gonna talk to one more founder who's building a product, preferably. You talk to Saj, and I'm gonna talk to Ishwar to join us about the rise of MMA.
Yeah, full on.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Cool, scene.
Cool.
Calling it.
Chalo.
Chalo. Bye.
Bye-bye.